Picture this scene with me for a moment. It's a hot summer day and there's a crow. Let's call him Thomas, because why not? And this crow is desperately thirsty. He finds a tall, narrow pitcher with just a little bit of water at the bottom, far too low for his beak to reach. Now, what do you think our feathered friend does? Does he give up? Does he try to tip over the heavy pitcher? No, something remarkable happens. The crow looks around, picks up a small stone in his beak and drops it into the pitcher. The water level rises slightly. He finds another stone, drops it in. The water rises a bit more, stone by stone, pebble by pebble. He continues this process until finally the water level is high enough for him to drink. This isn't just a charming fable from Aesop, by the way. Scientists have actually observed this behavior in real crows, particularly New Caledonian crows, in carefully controlled experiments. These birds understand cause and effect. They grasp the concept of water displacement, something that took humans thousands of years to formalize into what we now call Archimedes' principle. But here's the question that should make you pause and wonder. Was that intelligence? And if it was, what makes it different from the intelligence you use when you solve a problem? Think about it. When you are trying to read something on a high shelf, you don't just flap your arms hoping to fly. You look around, you find a chair, you create a solution. When your phone batteries dies and you need to make an important call, you don't just stare at that screen. You find a charger, or you borrow someone else's phone, or you find another way to reach that person. The crows have a problem. Water too low to reach. The crow gathered information. Stones nearby, narrow pitcher. The crow formed a plan. Stones will rise the water level. The crow executed that plan step by step until the goal was achieved. You see a problem, you gather information, you form a plan, you execute it. So I ask you again, what exactly is the difference between your intelligence and that crow's intelligence? And if there is a difference, what is it really? But let's step back from our clever crow for a moment and look around us. Because intelligence isn't just something that happens in laboratories or in the minds of great thinkers. It's everywhere, hiding plain sight, woven into the very fabric of our daily lives. Watch a 5-year-old trying to tie their shoelaces for the first time. What are you really witnessing? At first, those little fingers fumble and struggle. The laces go every which way. Loops here, twist there, pull too hard, start over. But something fascinating is happening beneath the surface. With each attempt, each failure, each small success, neural pathways in that child's brain are literally rewiring themselves. Motor patterns are being carved into memory like a river carving its path through stone. What starts as conscious, deliberate thought, make a loop, wrap the other lace around, gradually becomes automatic, effortless. The child's brain has learned to coordinate dozens of tiny muscle movements into one fluid motion. That's intelligence adapting, learning, becoming more efficient through practice. Now imagine you are in a bustling train station, hundreds of faces flowing past you like a river of humanity. Suddenly, across that sea of strangers, you spot your friend. How did your brain just perform what might be one of the most remarkable computational feats in the universe? In a fraction of a second, your visual system processes thousands of faces, comparing each one against stored templates in your memory, filtering through angle, lighting, distance, expression, and somehow miraculously recognize that one unique pattern of features that belongs to your friend. This is pattern recognition so sophisticated that our most advanced computers are only just beginning to match what your brain does effortlessly without you even thinking about it. Or consider this everyday puzzle. You have just bought a beautiful new couch and now you need to get it through your front door. You stand there measuring with your eyes, tilting your head, imagining in your mind you're rotating that couch, turning it this way and that, visualizing angles that haven't happened yet. You are running spatial simulations in the theater of your imagination. This is your brain performing complex three-dimensional geometry, calculating rotations and translations, predicting outcomes before they occur. Ancient Greek mathematicians would have marveled at this, and you do it while barely breaking stride in your conversation. And then there is something even more subtle, more mysteriously human. Your colleague says, "Oh sure, I just love working weekends." But something in their tone, their expression, the way they emphasize love tells you they mean exactly the opposite. How did you know? How did you decode not just the words, but the intention behind the words, the emotion wrapped around the meaning? This is contextual intelligence, social intelligence, the ability to read between the lines of human communication. You are processing tone, facial expressions, body language, social context, shared understanding, all simultaneously, all unconsciously. Even your dog or cat displays a form of intelligence that would have amazed early behaviorists. Watch how your pet learns your morning routine. First they might just observe curiously, but gradually they begin to anticipate. When you reach for your keys, they know a walking is coming. When your alarm goes off at the same time every morning, they're already by their food bowl. They've become students of your patterns, observers of your habits, learning through pure observation to predict your behavior. They've built a mental model of your world, your schedule, your routines. Each of these examples, the child, you in the crowd, you with the coach, you reading sarcasm, your pet learning your patterns, represents a different flavor of intelligence. Learning through repetition, pattern recognition, spatial reasoning, social understanding, observational learning. The beautiful, almost mystical things is that you possess all of these forms of intelligence, and you use them every single day without ever stopping to marvel at how extraordinary they truly are. But here's what should make you wonder. If intelligence takes all these different forms, if it's all around us, expressing itself in so many ways, then what exactly is it? What is this phenomenon we call intelligence that a crow and a child and you and your pet all seem to share, each in your own remarkable way? Now, you might be thinking, this is all very interesting, but what does this actually tell us about intelligence? What are we really looking at here? Well, hidden within these everyday moments are the fundamental building blocks that every form of intelligence seems to share. Let me show you what I mean by taking you on a journey through your own remarkable capabilities. Think back to when you were learning your very first language, not in a classroom, not from textbooks, but as a small child absorbing the world around you. Something almost magical happened during those early years. You heard sounds, patterns, rhythms, mama, dada, more, no. At first, these were just acoustic waves hitting your eardrums, but somehow your brain began to detect patterns in this chaos of sound. You noticed that certain combinations of sounds appeared together, that some sounds led to milk, others to being picked up, others to toys appearing. You were conducting one of the most sophisticated statistical analyses imaginable, without even knowing what statistics were. Your brain was building a model of language from pure observation, extracting rules and patterns from thousands of examples. You learned that words have meaning, that the order of words matters, that the same word can mean different things in different contexts. No one sat you down and explained grammar. You discovered it piece by piece through experience. This is learning in its purest form, the ability to extract knowledge and understanding from experience, to build internal models of the world that help you navigate reality. Now, let's talk about reasoning. Imagine you are driving to work one morning and suddenly your car starts making a strange noise, a rhythmic clicking that wasn't there yesterday. What happens in your mind? You don't just panic or ignore it. Instead, you begin a process of logical deduction that would make Sherlock Holmes proud. The clicking seems to match the wheel rotation, you think. It's coming from the front left. You connect this observation to your knowledge. Things that click with wheel rotation could be the brakes, or maybe something stuck to the tire, or perhaps a problem with the wheel bearing. You form hypotheses and test them. If it's the brakes, the sound should change when I brake. You test this theory. If it's something stuck to the tire, I should be able to see it when I stop. You are using reasoning, the ability to take what you know, combine it with what you observe, and arrive at logical conclusions about what you don't yet know. But sometimes reasoning isn't enough. Sometimes you need to solve problems in real time. Picture this. You are driving your usual route to meet a friend, and suddenly you encounter an unexpected road closure. Constructions barriers block your familiar path. Your destination hasn't changed, but your pathway has vanished. What do? Your brain immediately switches into problem-solving mode. You visualize the geography around you, the network of streets and alternatives. You consider multiple options. I could go back and take the highway, but that might be slower. I could try the side streets through the residential area, or maybe there is a way around this construction that I haven't considered. You weigh factors like time, traffic, and familiarity with alternate routes. You make a decision, implement it, and monitor whether it's working. If you choose a route leads to another dead end, you adapt your plan in real time. This is problem solving. The ability to navigate from where you are to where you want to be, even when the obvious path is blocked. And then there is perhaps the most remarkable building blocks of all: adaptation. Cast your mind back just 15 years ago, before smartphones transformed our world. Do you remember how different your daily life was? You used paper maps or printed directions from MapQuest. You called people on landlines or arranged to meet at specific times and places because you couldn't just text running 5 minutes late. You carried cash and credit cards everywhere because there was no digital payment. Suddenly, this rectangular piece of glass and metal appeared, and within just a few years, you had completely reorganized your mental habits around it. You learn to navigate with your finger, to type with your thumbs, to think in terms of apps and notifications. Your brain, shaped by millions of years of evaluation, somehow adapted to interact with technology that didn't exist even a decade earlier. You develop new motor skills, new ways of processing information, new social behaviors. This is adaptation. The ability to modify your behavior, your thinking, even your neural pathways in response to changing circumstances. Here's what's really fascinating. Learning, reasoning, problem solving, adaptation, these aren't separate, isolated abilities. They work together, each building on the others, creating the symphony we call intelligence. When you learned language, you were also reasoning about patterns. When you solved a driving problem, you were adapting your usual routine. When you adapted the smartphones, you were learning and problem solving simultaneously. These building blocks, this capacity to learn from experience, to reason about the world, to solve problems creatively, and to adapt to change, they are not unique to humans. Remember our crow with the water pitcher. Learning, reasoning, problem solving, adaptation, all present in that remarkable behavior. These seem to be the fundamental ingredients of intelligence itself. expressed differently across different minds, but fundamentally the same underlying process. And this brings us to a profound realization. If we can understand these building blocks, if we can see how they work in our own minds and in the minds of other creatures, then perhaps we can begin to understand what it might mean to create these same capabilities in machines. Perhaps intelligence isn't as mysterious as we thought. Perhaps it's a natural phenomenon, like gravity or electromagnetism, that follows a discoverable principle and can be understood, modeled, and even replicated. What do you think? Are you beginning to see intelligence not as some mystical force, but as a set of understandable processes that you yourself use every single day? So here we are at the end of our first exploration together, and I hope something has shifted in how you see the world around you. Because if there is one thing I want you to take away from our time today, it's this: intelligence isn't just about being smart in the way we usually think about it. It's not about having a high IQ or solving complex mathematical equations or memorizing vast amount of information, though those can certainly be expression of intelligence. Now, intelligence is something much more fundamental, much more universal, and much more beautiful than that. Intelligence is about how we navigate our world. It's about how a crow figures out how to reach water, how a child's brain rewires itself to tie shoelaces, how you recognize a friend's face in a crowd of thousands, how you adapt to technologies that didn't exist when you were born. Intelligence is the capacity to take in information from the world around us, to make sense of it, to learn from it, and to use that understanding to achieve our goals, solve our problems, and adapt to whatever life throws our way. It's the common thread that connects your reading social cues, your pet learning your routines, a plant growing towards sunlight, and yes, even the artificial minds we are beginning to create. When you really think about it, intelligence is one of the most remarkable phenomena in the universe. Here we are, collections of atoms that were forgotten in the hearts of ancient stars, somehow organized in such a way that we can contemplate our own existence, solve problems, create art, love, learn, and even attempt to recreate these very capabilities in machines. As Carl Sagan once said, we are a way for the cosmos to know itself. That's intelligence at its most profound. But this is just the beginning of our journey together. Today we have seen intelligence as it appears in everyday life, hiding in plain sight all around us. But humans have been fascinated by the nature of mind and intelligence for thousands of years, and different fields of study have developed their own ways of understanding this phenomenon. Next time, we'll take a fascinating tour through how different disciplines approach the study of intelligence. We will see how psychologists probe the working of the human mind, how neuroscientists peer into the brain itself to understand the physical basis of thought. How computer scientists attempt to recreate intelligent behavior in machines, and how philosophers grapple with the deepest questions about consciousness and what it means to think. Each field brings its own tools, its own perspectives, its own insights, and together they are painting a picture of intelligence that's more rich and complex than any single approach could reveal alone. We'll discover how a psychologist studying memory and a computer scientist designing algorithms might actually be exploring the same fundamental question from different angles. So I invite you to join me next time as we continue this exploration. Keep observing the intelligence all around you, in yourself, in others, in the natural world. Notice how you learn, how you reason, how you solve problems, how you adapt. Because the more you understand about intelligence in general, the better you'll understand what we are really trying to achieve when we talk about artificial intelligence. Until then, keep wondering, keep questioning, and remember, you carry within you one of the most sophisticated information processing systems in the known universe. That's not just remarkable, that's miraculous. And we are just getting started understanding how it all works.